Good evening. When I was thinking what kind of topic to choose, it was quite easy because today is the day when Otakar Ševčík was born, and also Otakar Ševčík is the topic of my Fulbright research. So let's speak about Otakar Ševčík. Otakar Ševčík, if you don't know that, he used to be one of the most famous violin pedagogues in the world. So I want to share with you the story how a man born in Horažďovice, a little town, how he became one of the most successful pedagogues. So this is Otakar Ševčík as a kid. Please remember this photo on the left. It's very unique, and I will tell you very soon why it is unique. So this is Horažďovice, a little town. Nowadays, it's like 4,000 inhabitants. And Otakar Ševčík was born there to a family where his father was a teacher and also a choir leader. So a father of Otakar Ševčík taught little Otakar violin, piano, and voice. And Otakar Ševčík was very talented, and he moved to Prague to study at the grammar school. And his dream was always to become a solo violinist or concertmaster of an orchestra. He was accepted to a conservatory, to a renowned class of Benevits. And he was so good that after graduation, he came to Salzburg, where he served 2 years as a concertmaster in a Mozarteum Salzburg. It's very, very renowned institution even nowadays. And then came a decision. Otakar Ševčík was invited to Prague by Bedřich Smetana or to become a concertmaster in Vienna. So just imagine, he was still very young, around 20 years of age. He was already having 2 incredible offers. So he decided to go to Vienna, and I will tell you why this was a bad decision. In 1873 in Vienna, there was a huge crisis. You can Google this up. It was in the whole world. It was economic crisis driven by different factors. And the comic opera in Vienna was not opened at all. So Otakar Ševčík ended up with no money and no future. And it was a coincidence that a friend of his invited him to Ukraine, firstly to Kharkiv and then to Kiev. Otakar Ševčík spent 17 years in Kiev, and he became a very, very successful pedagogue. And this is the time he started to work on his method. So this is something I want you to remember tonight. A Ševčík method became one of the most powerful and useful methods for violin, viola, cello. So this is how. Okay, this is Otakar Ševčík in his later age. So this is the overview of the whole method. It would take me 7 hours to describe what is inside. So how about I just describe the very DNA of this method? So why was the violin method so successful? What was the new thing? The new thing was that Otakar Ševčík used the knowledge, what he got in Horažďovice from his father. His father was also teaching languages, and Otakar Ševčík thought that if you want to use the language, you need to know the grammar. And if you look at the classical music and us playing Martinu here, that's the language. But then the grammar is different thing. So Otakar Ševčík very analytically took apart technical elements of violin playing, and for each of them he invented thousands and thousands of exercises. So this is briefly the success of his method. Otakar Ševčík traveled 3 times to US, and it was very successful always. At the time he was already a brand. To be a student of Otakar Ševčík was really something, and you were a really successful violinist if you were lucky enough to be accepted to his class. Firstly, he was teaching 1921 in Ithaca, then 1923 in Chicago, and 1932, when he was 80 years old, Otakar Ševčík was teaching in Boston. Always he also visited New York. So this is why I'm here during my Fulbright. So now This picture is not a coincidence. Ševčík was also an author of many new ideas. So one of them was to do summer academies. So nowadays you can see summer academies everywhere, but he was one of the first who started summer schools for violinists. And this is Evelyn Margaret Dewar, one of the very successful female violinists. Otakar Ševčík thought that teaching female violinists at the time, it was not that usual. He thought it's a good idea because he thought that female players are just much better than men because they don't drink and smoke so much as men. This is a quote from Otakar Ševčík. He was a very funny person. In last 10 seconds, I would like to invite you to Horažďovice. We do a beautiful festival every summer, and we want to revoke the spirit of Otakar Ševčík. I think he is really one of the most interesting, personalities in the music. So please Google up Otakara Ševčík, Google up our activities, because I think it's worth it. Thank you so much.